Hello everyone and welcome to yet another game from the round 2 of the GRENKE Chess Classic 2019. As it was a very eventful round, we are going to be showing the third game from the round. And if I forget at any video, after every video we will be having at least a few videos from the GRENKE Chess Classic video team. So always in the description below, the first few links you will see will be either an interview with the players or impressions from round 2. So you can also check them out now, but you can also wait until after the game to check it out if you don't want your results spoiled. So without further ado, let's check it out. Arkadij Naiditsch versus Peter Svidler. It's a very informative game. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, even learn a lot. So let's dive straight into it. Naiditsch goes for e4. With e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. Naiditsch goes for the Ruy Lopez, and if you check out the interview in the description below with Peter Svidler, you will hear that Svidler prepared for this, as he knows that Naiditsch goes for the exchange variation of the Ruy Lopez. So he goes a6, more of his defense, bishop captures, d captures, and now just castles. And here queen to f6 by Svidler. We have d4. E captures on d4, and now bishop to g5. There is one game Naiditsch already played with the white pieces against Bhaskaran Adiban in the 2019 World Team Championship in Astana, and this game follows this game for a few more moves. Svidler moves with queen to d6, and now comes knight captures on d4. And here Adiban went for bishop to d7 in Astana, and that game ended in a draw, but here Svidler prepares a bishop to e7. And it is of this moment that we have a completely new game on our hands. It's move 9, so it's quite a treat. Bishop captures on e7, we have knight captures on e7, and now knight to c3. Bishop to d7, choosing either to castle kingside or queenside. We'll see how it goes. Knight d to e2, offering a queen trade, and Svidler doesn't mind. He's up for a queen trade, but he doesn't want to trade queens by capturing on d1 and developing white's rook for free. So he just castles queenside, and he says, okay, you can capture my queen, but then I'm just going to undouble my pawns, fix my pawn structure, push d5, and all will be well. And white, of course, isn't interested. First, queen to c1. He wants to develop his queen, and the idea is queen to e3, and then threaten queen to a7, which means that the queen will come to e3 with tempo. Knight to g6 by Svidler, and now queen to e3. You, of course, don't want to allow queen to a7, so Svidler goes with king to b8, and now rook 8 to d1. Just a nice developing move, also saving time as the queen is under attack. Queen moves to e7, and now f4. And white is nicely developed here. Svidler still has to figure out how to activate his light square bishop and how to bring the other rook into the game. And there are a few ways you can do this. You can go rook h to e8, but Svidler finds a different way. First, bishop to c8. He wants to trade the rooks here and then bring the other rook over to d8 or e8, depending on what white plays. He wants to play b6, a5, and then develop his light square bishop on b7, where it will control this very nice diagonal. So this is his plan, and white can't really do all that much to prevent it. Knight to c1. Now Naiditsch starts remaneuvering the knight with rook captures as planned, rook captures on d1, and now b6, preparing to develop the light square bishop. We have knight to d3, and now first a5 as planned. He wants to play bishop to a6, but also taking away the b4 square from Naiditsch's knight. And here we have rook to e1. We have bishop to a6, and here comes knight to f2. Also a possibility was f5 here, but Naiditsch decided to go for a different line. Knight to f2, and here, as you'll hear in the interview, if you watch it, here Svidler felt that instead of knight f2, f5 was the main move for white, and he felt that this was the main line to consider. After knight to f2, he says that now he feels at least equal, but even might consider playing for a win now. And okay, here we have rook to e8, finally developing this rook, and now you'll see that Svidler will try to pile up on the e4 pawn, and also we do have a short footage from this moment. I believe it's from this moment, so let's just check it out. More compliments from the GRENKE Chess Classic video team. It's a nice footage of Arkadij Naiditsch pondering on this exact position. So let's just check it out. Very nice footage. There you have it. Alright, I do hope you enjoyed that. And here we have a3. The problem is Svidler will play f6. He wants to not allow white to push d5, and he wants to bring this bishop over back to b7. He will remaneuver the knight, and then all of the pieces will attack the a4 pawn, the e4 pawn. The problem is if you go e5 immediately, then queen b4, and there's no good way, to defend the b2 pawn. So before trying something like this, Naiditsch goes a3, prevents queen to b4, but now Svidler just plays f6. He creates a static center, so white will not be able to push e5. And now white has to look for a different plan. So the knight really doesn't have a bright future on c3. Now Naiditsch again remaneuvers it. We have knight back to e2, and bishop back to b7 as planned. Knight to g3, going after the f5 square, and now c5. Now the bishop is finally free, to wreak havoc over the board. Knight to f5, an excellent square for the knight, coming there with an attack on the queen. Queen back to f7, and now rook to d1. White takes now control of the d file, but it doesn't matter. Svidler now has to remaneuver his knight as well. We have knight to f8. c3 by white, and now first a4. A very nice move, as it will cement this b2 pawn. It's a weak pawn, it's a backwards pawn, and Svidler will try to win it at some point by playing queen to b3. We have h3 by white, and now knight to e6. Knight back to g3 now, and here comes bishop to c6. This is a wonderful move. As you'll see, it's a multi-purpose move. It still controls this diagonal, so you haven't really ruined that, but it also protects the a4 pawn, and it guards the d7 square, because after white puts a queen on the d file, you will not be able to do any lifting along the d file. Here, rook to d2, just a nice defender of the b2 pawn, waiting to see what black does. And here it's you have to find the absolute best plan, and Svidler finds it. For example, if you go something like queen e7, just trying to take control of the d file, you're not really gonna achieve anything. Rook d8, let's say, white can just trade, and this position isn't much better than the one where you started to take control of the d file, so you haven't really accomplished anything. After rook to d2, Svidler finds a different idea, but if you'd like, feel free to pause the video and try to find the plan, the game plan for black, if you will. I'll give you a couple of seconds if you want to decide how to go about it. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are once again an excellent maneuver of knights. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, once again, the strongest move is a move with the knight back, knight to d8. Now Svidler's plan is knight to b7 to d6, and from d6, the knight, the bishop, and the rook will all pile up on the e4 pawn, and after the e4 pawn is under siege, white will have to use all the resources to defend it. Then queen b3 is an idea, and white will have problems defending both the e4 pawn and the b2 pawn. So first we have queen to d3, but now you see the power of the bishop to c6 move. Just knight to b7. And now you see that the bishop and knight here are nicely controlling the squares here along the d file. There we have the nice blue square, so you don't mix it up with these ones, and white can't make any queen lifts along the d file. So king to h2, white just improves the position of the king. We have knight to d6 now, as planned, now attacking the e4 pawn, and rook to d1. Now Naiditsch plans to go rook to e1, so the rook will guard the e pawn from there, as Svidler is preparing h5 and h4 to kick away one of the defenders of the e4 pawn. So h5, Svidler starts to do this, rook to e1, now the pawn is yet again protected, and h4. Knight goes back to f1, and now comes queen to b3 finally. And here you have problems. You don't have a good way of defending the b2 pawn. For example, if you try rook to e2, this doesn't work because of bishop to b5. You simply lose the game this way. On the other hand, you might try something like queen to d2. Again, not gonna work because knight c4, now the queen is under attack, and also there's a double attack against the b2 pawn. You're gonna lose it either way. And lastly, but not leastly, of course, knight to d1. You can try to defend it this way, and maybe if the queen is attacked, bring the queen over to b1, but then you have, again, different problems. Let's say bishop b5, you move the queen, and now you get just knight captures on e4. You can defend both the b2 pawn and the e4 pawn. So, a very good example of how Svidler exploits the principle of two weaknesses. e5 by white. White, as he cannot defend the b2 pawn, he has to create some chances. So he starts pushing the e pawn and creates a passed e pawn. F captures on e5, F captures on e5, and now just queen captures on b2. It's not just a pawn that Svidler won, but he also destroyed the base of the pawn chain, and now the a3 pawn becomes weak, and the c3 pawn becomes weak. So what do you do here? You can't go for something tricky like captures, captures, and captures, because after king captures, you don't have any good follow-up on your, well, not so tricky exchange sacrifice. So after queen captures on b2, rook to e2 was played, attacking the queen, and Svidler just goes back. Queen b5, and here, if you capture, then knight captures, then c3 and a3 are under attack. You will lose another pawn, and very quickly the game. Here, queen to c2 was played, just moving back with the queen, but now comes knight to c4. An excellent square for the knight. You will not be able to kick it away from there. The a3 pawn is under attack, and here, this is move 39. Naiditsch is very low on time. He still has 2 moves to make the reach time control, but there is no good move here. You could try defending the a3 pawn, but it's not going to work out very well. Here he played e6. He simply started pushing his passed pawn, and Svidler just captured. Knight captures on a3. The queen is under attack, and, well, it was in this position on move 39 that Arkadij Naiditsch resigned the game. So an excellent game by Svidler, really an informative game, really showing how to exploit the principle of 2 weaknesses, the weak e4 pawn, and then after a4 has been pushed and b2 was created as a weakness, just, you know, white could not hold all of it. So here, of course, white resigns. He's down 2 pawns. He will be down much more material. Doesn't really matter what he plays. If he moves the queen, then just knight b1, you go after the c3 pawn, you can push your pass pawn here, or if you try something like queen to d3 to keep an eye on the c3 pawn, black can just capture, and after captures, bishop to b5. Again, you will lose a lot of material here. Let's say rook a2, just captures, 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 you will lose a piece here. So pretty much whatever you do, you are completely lost here with white. So yeah, an excellent game by Peter Svidler, the game that didn't even reach time control. So far the only players with who have won games are Carlsen, who won both of his games, and Svidler, who won 1 game so far. So it's Carlsen first, Svidler second so far, and all the other in third. We're not going to be showing the standings as it's still very early in the tournament. But yeah, that's it for this game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Joshua Prim, Kim Odison, Pierre-Alexander Wells, Lemo Muro, and Vincente Quintanilla for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out Round 2 Impressions. It will be the second link in the description below. First link in the description below will be an interview with Peter Svidler about this very nice game on the GRENKE Chess Classic YouTube channel, so do check that out as well. It's really enjoyable. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.